We have a primary election coming up in June, and I am talking with one of the gentlemen who would like to be your representative for the 3rd Congressional District and go to Washington and represent us. I have Harry Montoya on the line. Harry, how are you, sir?
Doing well, Derek. How are you doing?
I am doing well, too, and I appreciate you calling in. I'd love to have you in the studio, but we're following the rules and practicing social distancing, so we've got you on the phone. And for folks that don't know Harry Montoya, I want you to tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, where you grew up, where you went to school.
Sure. And, Derek, thank you for this opportunity. And this is definitely unlike any campaign that I've ever been a part of or have run previously. So taking the time to allow me to introduce myself to the folks out there, I sure appreciate it. Again, my name is Harry Montoya. I'm multi-generation native New Mexican, born and raised here in northern New Mexico. My wife and I raised our family here, and we definitely are proud to call northern New Mexico and New Mexico home because we love New Mexico. We love this great state. It's got so much going for it, and certainly we're hoping that we're going to be able to make a difference and do something good for the people of New Mexico by winning this seat. Born and raised here in the Poaka Valley. That's where I reside at the moment as well. And again, I'm fortunate to actually live on property that was part of my great-grandfather's property. So I got the family discount, Derek. So
yeah, that's always nice.
I did graduate, went to school, graduated from here in Poaka High School. I used to play a little basketball, and I was okay, I guess, okay enough to get a college scholarship and went to Iowa, Lamar's, Iowa, and Westmar University, and played basketball there. Got my bachelor's degree in psychology with a minor in learning disabilities, and was going to actually go into teaching. What I wanted to do, Derek, was teach and coach at one time, and that was following in the footsteps of my dad. He was my teacher. He was my coach. He just inspired me and continues to inspire me to this day, even though we don't have him anymore. But certainly that was the path that I was going to take. And then when I graduated from Westmar in Iowa, I had applied to different graduate schools and got accepted to New Mexico State University. And go Aggies, they're the perennial New Mexico school who goes to the Division I playoffs every year for the NCAA basketball tournament. So I'm a little partial to my Aggies. So I went down there, got my master's degree in counseling and educational psychology, and came back and began to work as a therapist, as a counselor at one of the local mental health centers here in Santa Fe. Then I continued to do that. I still continue to do that to this day in terms of counseling people in the addictions field, with addictions issues. And in between all of that, I've served on the Poaka Valley School Board. I was on there for 8.5 years, was elected twice, and then ran for the Santa Fe County Commission and was elected there twice as well. Served there until 2010. And, subsequent to that, in my professional life, I've been very blessed to have had different positions, and I actually started my own nonprofit organization back in 1995. It was called Hands Across Cultures, and I saw what was going on here in our community in terms of the substance use, the opioid addictions that have been so well documented throughout the years here in the Espanola and Poaka Valley, and wanted to do something about it. So Hands Across Cultures is a prevention program, prevention for substance abuse. And we did that for about 20 years before I went. And I'm currently working with the Children, Youth, and Families Department, although I am on a leave of absence for the campaign. So that kind of in a nutshell.
You're applying for a job as our representative in Washington, so we need to know about you. And I notice you say here on your website that you're running for Congress because you believe we need a conservative champion fighting for our future generations. So in your mind, what is a conservative champion?
To me, a conservative champion is someone that has the values of I'm pro-life, pro-Second Amendment, I'm a constitutional conservative, pro-business, pro-small business, and, those are certainly the pillars of which this country was founded on. The whole Constitution, that we are, given the life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness by our Creator. And certainly we've moved away from that. And, the other thing that I believe is important to us in this district and in the state is that the traditional New Mexican values that we've had for years are also being eroded. And again, it gets back to Christianity. I'm a Christian, and I feel very strongly that, we are probably experiencing a lot of these things that we're experiencing as a result of everything that is going on in our society and in this world as well. I feel that God puts people where He wants them. I believe that together, with everyone out there that has the same traditional New Mexican values, whether they're, doesn't matter what party affiliation they are, it doesn't matter if they're Republican, Democrat, Independent, those traditional New Mexican values are a staple and a pillar of who we are and what we've been as a people here for generations.
Very interesting that you have those values coming from the Espanola Valley area, which is not a bastion of conservatism. How did you accept these ideas? How did you come to conservative values in your life?
They've always been taught to me, Derek. I grew up with them, with my dad, my mom, and both sides of the family. And it gets back to, again, in my belief, is that these are Christian values that we're also talking about. You mentioned the Espanola Valley. This is kind of where, if you look at it, Christianity began, back in the late 1500s, early 1600s. It's deeply rooted in this part of the state. We've had different societies. I'm a member of one of the societies that back in the day when there was a shortage of Catholic priests, I'm Catholic, Christian. Mm-hmm. These societies came up as a result of not having anyone to preach and teach Christian principles that we have been grounded in. So these societies and the penitentes, I'm sure people have heard of the penitentes, that during this Holy Week is a very special week for them. And this is the first time in who knows how long that they haven't been participating in their moradas and their customs and traditions that they've always held deeply for generations. But those are the conservative values that I've been brought up in, and a lot of people here in this northern New Mexico area have been brought up with. And I think we're just finally coming to the realization, and the thing that got me, Derek, was the whole pro-life issue. Talking to my cousin, and she was asking me, well, why did you switch? Because she's been a Republican all her life, and she grew up here. She's my first cousin, and we grew up with pretty much the same teachings and everything. But when she registered to vote, she registered as a Republican way back when. And because of, I think more than anything else, people just registered Democrat here because that's kind of the way they were brought up, with no thinking about, what is the true meaning of what it is that I'm a part of. And I did run for this office as a Democrat back in 2008. And when I was running back then, I've always been pro-life. So I was being told, well, why aren't you running as a Republican? You sound more like a Republican and what a Republican stands for than you do as a Democrat. A good friend of mine, Rod Montoya, he's a House leader there for the Republican Party. Right. After that particular race, he approached me and said, why don't you run as a Republican? We'll get behind you and support you. And so he planted the seed back then in 2008. And it was just a matter of time, I guess, before things have come to fruition now that I'm running as who I am. And I think a lot of people will hear the same message that, that sounds more like who I am also, as opposed to what the Socialist Democrat Party has become.
It does sound like the Democrat Party has moved away from a lot of Democrats, going more toward the progressive end of the party rather than what I like to call the Kennedy Democrats, which is probably more like what you were.
Exactly. That's what I was. I was a Kennedy Democrat. Not that I left the Democrat Party, but the Democrat Party left me, in a sense that I just cannot go along with their mantra anymore. And we know that things are going to go according to script that they have in terms of bashing candidates, and we've seen what they've done with the Supreme Court justice hearings. And it's just their mantra. That's just what's going to happen. So we're ready. We're ready to take that on, and we feel confident that we're going to survive all that. And God willing, we're going to come out victorious in this race also.
Well, tell me a little bit about what you think of our president. What do you like about him? What don't you like about him?
Well, I like his policies, and I think it's showing now during this whole coronavirus situation that we're all experiencing. And I think he's showing that we are, as a country, way too dependent on China for everything. Our pharmaceuticals, our medical supplies, just about any and everything that you can think of is now manufactured in China. And I think what he's doing in terms of making sure that we bring some of that manufacturing back into the United States so that we become independent of having to rely on China or any other country to manufacture things that we need here in this country. So he's taking care of America first. I mean, he talks about taking care of Americans and America first, and he's doing that. So his policies of bringing jobs back to this country, and that's the other thing. When we look, Derek, in terms of even just our neighboring states in Texas, Arizona, Colorado, Utah, they're doing well when it's coming to job growth. I was talking to my son, and he gave me this fact that back in the 30s, Denver, Albuquerque, and Phoenix they're all about the same. The 1930s, they were all about the same size. And you look at it now, and I mean, there's just no comparison in terms of the growth that those cities have experienced and where Albuquerque's at.
Albuquerque's losing population, as I understand it now, right?
Yes, yeah. They are. When you have the crime problem, the crime element that is embedded there, people leave. They don't want to live through that sort of violent situation, I guess, for lack of a better term.
Yeah.
But they certainly are going to go somewhere where they feel that there's going to be a better chance for prosperity than what they're experiencing in Albuquerque. And crime is certainly not something that people want to be around or live in. So, yeah, you're absolutely right. People are leaving Albuquerque and leaving New Mexico.
Yeah, except for a few cities. So Albuquerque's a sanctuary city. The president doesn't like that. He's not a fan of sanctuary cities, and he's tried to pull federal funding, and the cities don't seem to really care if they lose their funding. It's in court and all that. What are your thoughts? Should we have sanctuary cities?
I don't think so. I don't think sanctuary cities are good for the native people that have lived there for however many years and sometimes generations. When we look at this whole immigration issue, the whole immigration issue is out of control. There's a book out there, Open Borders, Inc., that I would recommend people read and take a look at because it's almost an industry, if you will, the whole immigration issue. And people are making money off of these illegal immigrants that are coming in. So we need to, in my opinion, do away with sanctuary cities. And if sanctuary cities are going to exist, then they need to do it on their own. They don't need the federal government to come in and bail them out in the system. And the federal government is putting a lot of money into a lot of these sanctuary cities through different programs. When you read as to what some of the programs are that are they're provided education, they're provided medical care, they're provided housing. I mean, it's like, who wouldn't want to come to America if they're going to get everything for free, which is essentially happening.
But it's not really free. It's just paid for by us, the taxpayers.
Exactly. It's free to them, but for us, we're paying for all of that. And, I think going back to what President Trump is doing with his policies, he's trying to make sure that our seniors' needs are being taken care of, our veterans' needs are being taken care of, our children are getting the best education that they can be getting in the school system. So he's really, truly, and honestly, through all of his policies, taking a look at what can make, I'll use his words, make America great again. And I think there's not much disagreement that people just would sometimes wish he'd quit tweeting. That's...
Yeah. Well, and I understand why he does it, because he doesn't feel he gets a fair shake from the media, so he speaks directly to the American people. Now, let me ask you this. If you're representing us, or when you're representing us in Congress, the president wants a vote on building a wall, since we're talking about immigration, is that something you would vote for? It
would be, because I think when you're looking at immigration reform, you have to look at the big picture. And the big picture includes, number one, reforming our immigration laws that are outdated. And let's just say when I was running in 2008, Derek, to now, nothing's changed. Nothing's changed. Everything is the same. The only thing that has changed is that the president is building the wall that, I think previous presidents had said we need to do something about that and take a look at building that as part of the overhaul immigration reform. So that is part of what I would call the toolbox that we need to reform immigration is a wall, because walls work, and that's certainly something that until we can get this whole immigration issue under control, we need to take whatever tools we have in that toolbox and fix our immigration system.
Well, now it's not just immigration, it's people coming across who might be sick. We have no way to control it.
Exactly. And that's the other thing. I mean, a lot of these people that are coming in illegally are bringing diseases with them, not just the coronavirus, but other diseases that we haven't seen in this country for a long time. We're starting to see now.
In case you just tuned in, I'm talking with Harry Montoya. He would like to be your representative in Congress for the 3rd Congressional District of New Mexico. And Harry, there's probably a lot of folks out there listening now, Democrats, Republicans, Independents, saying, this guy sounds pretty good. I want to know more. Maybe I want to donate some money to the campaign. How would they find out more about you?
Sure. My website, Derek, is harrymontoya.com. It's harrymontoya.com. And, I'll give you all my phone number as well, 505-920-0922, 920-0922. And that's my cell, and I figure if people want to talk to me and give me suggestions and recommendations, because I'm saying, we are all in this together, Derek, because it's not just me. I am a representative and a statesman for the people. And I need to hear from all of the constituents in terms of what's important to them and make sure that we address the needs that we have in our state and in this congressional district as well.
And so we don't know how voting is going to work for the primary right now, whether we're going to be able to walk in and vote, whether we're going to have early voting. If it's all going to be absentee voting or vote by mail, which the Republican Party has a lawsuit against right now. I assume you are aware of the whole vote by mail issue and why that's not necessarily a good thing?
Oh, yes, absolutely. It would be disastrous. We would be setting precedent for so much fraud and abuse and cheating. Let's just call it what it is. It, opens the door for cheating. We don't need mail-in ballots. We don't know who they're going to go to. We don't know who's going to be actually receiving those, if that voter actually still lives in that residence. They may not even live there anymore. And it would be easy to intercept and get those ballots. And so, if anything, maybe an absentee ballot would be, it would definitely be better. Mail-in ballots, just another way to allow corruption to continue.
Well, Harry, I've enjoyed talking to you. Again, I'm talking with Harry Montoya, running for Congress in the 3rd Congressional District. And that website, again, harrymontoya.com. Let's hope that maybe by next month we can talk to you in person in the studio. And while you're here, we'll get you to make some radio spots. Harry has an excellent radio voice, folks, if you haven't noticed.
Well, thank you, Derek. I appreciate that. Love to do that. Love to help however I can.
All right. Well, we'll look forward to talking with you again, and good luck with the campaign.
Thank you, Derek, and thank you for the time. I really appreciate it. And everyone be safe and God bless.